Hey Marvel fanatics, get ready to dive into the wild world of one of the most unstoppable forces in the comic universe, none other than the Juggernaut himself. We're about to spill the beans on his entire life story, from his humble beginnings to the epic battles that shocked the Marvel landscape. Picture the guy. He's a dude named Cain Marko who stumbles upon an ancient gem that transforms him into an absolute powerhouse with a bad case of can't stop, won't stop. We're talking about a walking, talking wrecking ball with a serious attitude. From clashes with the X-Men to unexpected team-ups and personal struggles, Juggernaut's journey is a roller coaster of epic proportions. So grab your snacks and buckle up. We're about to unravel the thrilling saga of the Juggernaut, and trust us, you won't want to miss a single moment of this crazy ride. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Before the Juggernaut, Cain Marko's early years. Alright, buckle up for some Marvel family drama, folks. So, Cain Marko, aka the Juggernaut, had a pretty rocky start in life. His dad, Dr. Kurt Marko, was this big-shot atomic researcher, but his parents split when he was just a tiny tot. Things took a twist when Dr. Marko snagged a wealthy widow, Sharon Xavier, and moved into her swanky Westchester County mansion. Now, here's where it got juicy. Always the troublemaker, Cain got kicked out of more schools than you can count. And guess what? He finally set up camp in that fancy mansion of theirs after yet another school meltdown. But here's the thing, Dr. Marko played favorites, and it wasn't with his own blood. No, he had a soft spot for his stepson, Charles Xavier. You know, the brainy mutant who later becomes Professor X. To make matters worse, Cain wasn't just your run-of-the-mill bully. Oh no, he made it a personal mission to torment Charles every chance he got. Daddy Marko even gave Cain a few secret beatdowns for his nasty behavior. And get this, when Charles's telepathic powers started kicking in, he accidentally tuned into Cain's messed up thoughts and feelings. Talk about a seriously dysfunctional family. Right. So after Sharon bit the dust, things hit the fan between Cain and his dad, Dr. Kurt Marko. Accusations were flying left and right during a heated argument, with Cain straight up blaming the doctor for his friend, Dr. Xavier's accidental demise. Drama alert. Dr. Marko, not one to take accusations lightly, went full on strict dad mode, grabbing Cain by the collar and screaming at him to zip it. Meanwhile, Charles, the ever sneaky stepbro, eavesdropped on the whole showdown. When Cain caught wind of Charles spying, he decided to play wrecking ball in the lab, causing a massive explosion. The good old Doc managed to save both stepbrothers from the fiery chaos, but paid the ultimate price himself. In his dying breath, Dr. Marko spilled the beans about not saving Dr. Xavier when he had the chance to, and begged Charles to keep his powers on the down low. But guess what? Cain, the eavesdropping master, overheard everything and thought Charles had been messing with his mind on purpose. Talk about a family feud brewing. Fast forward to the future, Cain sticks around the Xavier mansion, brewing a big old pot of resentment soup. He couldn't handle Charles outshining him in everything, from books to sports, not to mention those telepathic powers. One day, the tension boiled over, and the stepbrothers threw it down in a fight. Spoiler alert, Charles wiped the floor with Cain. What happened to Cain after he stormed out of the Xavier mansion is anyone's guess. But word on the street is he went full-on mercenary mode, fighting for revolutionary forces in some far-off land. Unfortunately for him, those forces crumbled, and he ended up behind bars in a third-world jail. Talk about a rough ride for the Juggernaut.
You charge at me with murderous intent. I don't mean right now.
I'm gonna rip you in half now.
That is such a...
Cain Marko's evolution into the Juggernaut. Now, here's the surprise twist, Marvel buffs. Cain Marko and Charles Xavier, the stepbro duo, end up in the same US military squad during the Korean War. It's such a small world, right? Well, it gets way crazier. So, they're in the middle of a war zone with bullets flying and all that death and destruction. But guess what? When the heat turns up, Cain decides to pull a Houdini and deserts the whole squad. Total chaos, right? But hold on, it gets even wilder. Charles, being the good guy he is, isn't letting Cain go that easily. He chases after him, and guess where they end up? In a freaking cave, no less. But not just any cave. This place is like the VIP lounge for mystical entities. There, in the dark depths, they stumble upon the secret temple of Sitarak. Now, here's where it gets nuts. In a moment of pure impulse, Marko snatches a glowing ruby from an idol's lap and decides to play scholar by reading some ancient inscription. Lo and behold, the gem unleashes its magic, turning him into a human Juggernaut. Talk about an unexpected power-up. But you know how it goes in comics. Just as things get interesting, bam! Enemy bombardment causes a full-on cave-in, burying our freshly minted Juggernaut under a mountain of rocks. Not exactly the afternoon he'd planned, we bet. So there you have it, the birth of the unstoppable force we know as the Juggernaut, brought to you by a mystical ruby and a ton of bad luck. Now, hold on to your hats, folks, because Juggernaut's wild ride unexpectedly continues. So after getting buried alive in that Korean cave, Cain Marko, now the Juggernaut, pulls off a superhero-level escape. He just flexes his new muscles, punches through tons of rock, and voila, he's as as free as a bird. So, after Kane Marco pulls off his great escape from the rock pile, he discovers a nifty side effect of being the Juggernaut. The dude doesn't need air or food to keep on trucking. Talk about a life upgrade. With his newfound muscles and invincibility, he basically bulldozes his way out of his rocky prison. Now, get this. He's not just strong and invulnerable, he's also got a soul deal going on with Sitarak, this mystical big shot. Kane decides it's time to upgrade his Juggernaut status by taking down the previous Juggernaut, Jin Taiko. Long story short, Kane wipes the floor with Taiko, snags the Juggernaut title for himself, and, massacres Taiko's whole village for good measure. Classy move, Juggernaut. Next up, America. Why? Oh, to settle the score with his stepbro Charles Xavier, of course. But Charles, being the clever mind reader he is, figures out that Kane's new helmet can fend off psychic attacks. Smart move, Charles. The showdown goes down at their old stomping ground, but the X-Men aren't having any of Juggernaut's rampage. Enter the Human Torch, who melts the rivets off of Juggernaut's helmet. With Charles's telepathic powers back in the game, they manage to put Kane in a coma and stash him in the basement. But hold the phone. Factor 3 jumps into the mix, reviving Juggernaut. After a tussle with the X-Men, he gets recruited by Factor 3, or so he thinks. Plot twist, the X-Men pull a fast one, tricking him into a one-way ticket to the Crimson Cosmos. Just another day in the chaotic life of the Juggernaut, we suppose. Juggernaut's wild ride in the Crimson Cosmos. So get this, after Juggernaut gets the boot to the Crimson Cosmos, he isn't one to sit around twiddling his thumbs. No, he decides to go on a cosmic adventure. The dude finds himself in the Dream Dimension, rubbing shoulders with none other than Doctor Strange. Yeah, the Sorcerer Supreme. It turns out they tag teamed against Nightmare, you know, the bad dream guy. Team Juggernaut and Doctor Strange. Congrats on the win. But here's where it gets wild. In his usual Wrecking Ball fashion, Kane thinks it'll be a grand idea to take down Eternity itself. Really? Unsurprisingly, that doesn't sit well with the cosmic powers around him. So, quick as a snap, Juggernaut finds himself back in the Crimson Cosmos, probably regretting the day he decided to pick a fight with the big shots of the universe. Oh, note to self, messing with cosmic entities might land you on a one-way ticket to interdimensional timeout. Okay, so after Juggernaut's little detour, he gets a cosmic reality check that messes with his head big time. Picture this. The cosmos punks him, making Kane think he's aging at warp speed, facing a one-way ticket to the retirement home. Ouch. Oh, but hold the drama. Because of some mystical mix-up, Kane somehow lands back on Earth, specifically in Rutland, Vermont. Talk about a cosmic GPS malfunction. Here's where it gets wonky. He's stuck ping-ponging between Earth and the Crimson Cosmos, wreaking havoc in Vermont like it's his personal playground, all in a desperate bid to turn back the clock. In comes the Beast, the X-Men's furry genius, to save the day. They fight it out in Rutland, with Juggernaut showing Beast who's the boss. But here's the kicker. This whole time, Juggernaut's been thinking that Beast's appearance is just a crazy costume. Real smart, Juggernaut. Plot twist, when Juggernaut realizes Beast is actually as wild-looking as he seems, his hatred turns to fear. That fear gets him a one-way ticket back to his cosmic prison, leaving Rutland in peace, a classic case of Juggernaut shenanigans. Then Dr. Peter Corbeau, in an attempt to play hero, tries to seal away the Hulk, that green rage machine. But instead of locking up the Hulk, he accidentally swaps places with none other than our favorite Juggernaut, Kane. Kane, being the wrecking ball he is, tries to bust out of the Hulk's high-security crib, but it's a no-go. Enter Dr. Corbeau, attempting another cosmic switcheroo to fix his mistake. Surprise, surprise. It backfires, and now we've got both the Hulk and Juggernaut sharing a cozy cell. These two powerhouses decide they're not feeling the whole imprisonment vibe and go on a prison break spree, mowing down military forces like they're made of paper. But oh boy, things take a turn when Juggernaut goes off the rails and starts terrorizing civilians. Cue the Hulk, and we're in for an epic showdown. The battle's like a heavyweight match, with Hulk and Juggernaut slugging it out. It's neck to neck until the Hulk pulls a genius move, grabbing Juggernaut by the helmet and twirling him around like a rag doll. Boom! The helmet's off and Juggernaut goes flying into a mountain. Just when you think it's game over, the X-Men swoop in and Professor Xavier puts the mental smackdown on Juggernaut. Another day, another chaotic clash in the Juggernaut's universe. Tag Team Turmoil, Juggernaut's next wild ride. Okay, so after all that cosmic craziness, Juggernaut's back in action. He's on the payroll this time, hired to do the dirty work and take down the X-Men. No surprise there, right. Teaming up with Black Tom Cassidy, they cook up a trap for the X-Men at Banshee's Cassidy Keep. And guess what? Kane's sheer brute force is enough to give the mutants a serious run for their money. But hold on, when Black Tom takes an unexpected dive into the waves below the castle, Juggernaut, in a surprising twist, pulls a U-turn to save his partner in crime. Fast forward to the Big Apple, where Juggernaut and Black Tom try to capture Madame Web, thinking her psychic powers will give them the upper hand against the X-Men. But in swings Spider-Man, the web slinger himself, who outsmarts Juggernaut and leaves him stuck in a pool of wet cement at a construction site. Talk about a sticky situation. Eventually, Juggernaut claws his way out of the cement mess and winds up drowning his sorrows in a Manhattan bar. But of course, the party's cut short when Colossus, the steel-skinned X-Man, accidentally picks a fight. Still in a foul mood, Juggernaut lets loose on Colossus and even throws shade at Wolverine and Nightcrawler before making an angry exit. Villain drama, a bar brawl, and some cold hard cash for the tab. Just another day in Juggernaut's wild ride. Unlike his usual personality traits, Juggernaut has a soft spot. Who knew? So he's feeling very generous and decides to get his buddy Black Tom Cassidy a birthday gift. But it isn't your typical gift card or fancy socks. Oh no, Juggernaut decides to fetch the gem that gave him his powers in Korea. Well, that's what we call a unique present. But here's the kicker. When Juggernaut hands over the gem to Tom, thinking he's just spreading the power, it backfires. It turns out that both of them end up with only half the original Juggernaut magic. Black Tom's not thrilled about sharing, so they battle each other in a deadly brawl. Enter Spider-Man and the X-Men, crashing the party. Rogue, always the opportunist, decides to grab some powers to even the playing field and leeches off Cassidy. Juggernaut, not one to be outdone, touches the ruby again and snags back the whole set. Lesson learned. Sharing isn't always caring. But the chaos doesn't stop there. Nimrod, the troublemaker, later attacks Juggernaut at a New York bank. Surprise, surprise, this time the X-Men lend a hand, even though it looks like they're teaming up with the bad guy. Things take a twist again when Juggernaut shows up on Muir Island, running interference for Black Tom's bank heist. Enter Dazzler, a shining star in more ways than one. Juggernaut, being a fan, tries to play nice, offering to cover damages after their little accident. But Dazzler, not having it, unleashes her powers, knocks herself out, and leaves Juggernaut thinking he's done the unthinkable, killed his hero. The new X-Men swoop in, give Juggernaut a run for his money and hand him over to the authorities. Talk about a roller coaster of heroics, bad decisions and unexpected alliances. Unfortunately for them, Juggernaut's stint in the British prison Crossmore doesn't last long. Enter Vixen, the local crime boss with a knack for jailbreaks. She cuts a deal with Kane, offering him a get-out-of-jail card in exchange for his strong-arm skills. So, picture the chaos. Juggernaut goes all wrecking ball, busts down the prison walls and unleashes a prison break like it's a criminal party. Vixen and her crew jet off into the sunset with some fancy jetpacks, leaving chaos in their wake. Cue Captain Britain, the hero on duty, trying to lay down the law. Spoiler alert, Juggernaut overpowers him, but then cavalry comes in the form of Excalibur, and they aren't having any of Juggernaut's shenanigans. Back to custody he goes. But wait, there's even more. Loki, the mischief maker himself, decides to spice things up by teleporting Juggernaut to Queens. Chaos ensues as Juggernaut goes on a rampage, catching the attention of none other than Thor, the god of thunder. Loki's master plan, make the Juggernaut fight it out with his bro. Shockingly, Juggernaut gives Thor a run for his money and actually beats him. But here's where it gets interesting. The new warriors swoop in, giving Thor the breather he needs. Molten metal rains down on Juggernaut. He cools off, literally, and Thor decides a space asteroid is the perfect timeout spot for him. And just like that, Juggernaut's left, floating in space, probably questioning his life choices. He probably regrets getting involved with the god of mischief now. While Kane is off planet, he decides to spice things up by taking over an alien world and becoming the top dog. But of course, Thor and the Excalibur crew crash the party. Kane whips out a force field and Thor whacks it with Mjolnir, and voila! Kane's off to another asteroid in the cosmic Badlands. Enter Black Tom, his partner in crime, who's got a genius plan to bring Juggernaut back to Earth. A fancy interdimensional teleporter is the key. Luckily for him, this works out just fine. The thing goes boom and out pops Juggernaut, ready to rock and roll on his home turf. Grateful for his earthly return, Kane joins forces with Black Tom until Warpath, the hero, enters the scene. Realizing the odds aren't in their favor, Tom pulls a drastic move, detonating bombs and destroying the World Trade Center. Cue the arrival of X-Force, Spider-Man, and a full-blown showdown with Juggernaut. As if things weren't chaotic enough, Cable tries to kill off Black Tom in the ruins, and Deadpool swoops in and teleports them away in exchange for their services. Just another day in the life of Juggernaut, mixing space escapades with earthly battles and a dash of Deadpool craziness. Now, here's the thing. After his last power-sharing trip with Black Tom, Juggernaut realizes the ruby isn't just a power-up but also a potential kryptonite. So he hurls it into space, superhero style, to make sure no one can use it against him. Smart move, right? Well, unfortunately, Juggernaut's gem isn't on a permanent space vacation, and surprise, a kid named Stevie gets a taste of its power, draining Kane in the process. Space adventures, right? After that whole cosmic rollercoaster, coaster when Juggernaut eventually finds himself back on Earth, guess what? Stevie, the kid who snagged a piece of his power, decides to play Guardian and keeps Kane at bay for a while. What happened to Stevie? Well, nobody knew. Like, did he vanish into thin air or what? Surprise, surprise! It turns out Kane runs into Stevie again, and he's not messing around this time. Somehow he manages to reclaim his gem, and here's the kicker. It's not just a power boost. Nope, the gem straight up merges with Kane, becoming one with his body. Fancy, right? Now, here's where it gets interesting. Juggernaut's gem is now part of his very being, and he no longer needs that clunky costume to unleash his full power. The catch? He still rocks the helmet for that sweet immunity to telepathy. Such a Juggernaut move, leveling up and making life a little more complicated for the good guys. Juggernaut's then just chilling on Earth when he gets a cosmic summons to the Crimson Cosmos. Doctor Strange and Nova are in a bit of a jam because of Cyttorak, that mystical big shot. Cosmic drama, right? Now, here's where it gets trippy. Cyttorak pops up, looking like some elf-like dude with a funky helmet that has a ruby slapped on it. Juggernaut, always hungry for more power, thinks this ruby's the key. So he throws down with Cyttorak and rips the stone out, thinking he's about to level up. Plot twist, nothing happens. Juggernaut's left scratching his head, wondering where his power-up went. Doctor Strange and Nova, not thrilled with Juggernaut's little rebellion, team up against him. They make him drop the shiny jewel and boom! It zips right back to where it belongs, like it has a mind of its own. Just another day in the cosmic playground, with Juggernaut in a magical tug-of-war over a glowing gem. Classic comic chaos. Over the years, Juggernaut's been fighting it out with all sorts of Marvel heavy hitters. You name it, he's fought it. He fought Spider-Man, tangled with the Hulk, duked it out with Spider-Woman, and even went toe-to-toe with the Avengers. It's like a superhero smackdown buffet, and Juggernaut's got a front row seat. Juggernaut Unleashed, breaking free from Onslaught's mind games. So, check this out. This creepy psionic being called Onslaught, which is basically a mix of Xavier and Magneto's minds, decides to play snatch and grab with the Crimson Gem of Cyttorak from Juggernaut. Talk about a cosmic power heist. Onslaught's grand plan? To trap Juggernaut inside the gem and take control of his hulking form. But guess what? Juggernaut's not one to be messed with. Pure grit and stubbornness, dear friends. He straight up destroys this evil god within the gem, breaking free and returning to Earth like a bus. Now, here's the kicker. Even though Juggernaut's back and he's beefier than ever, the problem is he's got this power boost, but controlling it is like herding cats. Such a Juggernaut thing to do, surviving a cosmic mind battle and coming back stronger, even if the manual for his new powers is still a work in progress. Juggernaut Showdown, battling gods and breaking machines. Alright, get a load of this wild plot twist. Cyttorak's not flying solo. There's actually a whole squad of 8 gods with their earthbound avatars called the Exemplars. And guess what? They rope in Juggernaut to help them build this crazy machine to enslave humanity. Classic supervillain agenda, right? As the Exemplars are doing their final prep, Juggernaut decides to take a time out deep within himself for a little showdown with Cyttorak. Enter Charles, Juggernaut's stepbrother, diving into the mental chaos to lend a hand. But here's the plot twist. Bedlam, another one of the Exemplars, catches wind of Charles and kicks him out. Good news though, Charles's brief stint in Juggernaut's head helps him get a grip on his own mind. After giving Cyttorak a beatdown, Juggernaut goes full wrecking ball and smashes the Exemplar's god machine to bits. But it doesn't stop there. Juggernaut's on a roll. He takes on each of the avatars one by one, showing them who's boss. It's just another day in the chaotic life of Kane Marco, breaking machines and beating down godlike beings. This badass just never disappoints. Juggernaut's Odyssey Through Time. Alright, so here's the scoop on what happens next. There's this sentient spaceship called Prosh, breaking out of a celestial prison and heading back to Earth. And guess who's joining the cosmic road trip? Yeah, our guy Juggernaut's in the mix. Prosh assembles this wild crew, including some X-Men and even mutant terrorists. Talk about an odd squad. Their mission? Oh, nothing too crazy. Just a few time travel shenanigans to save humanity from a threat that's not shown up for millions of years. No pressure, right? Prosh gets the gang together and they fight it out with this mysterious alien dude called the Stranger. Plot twist, Juggernaut receives a reality check. It turns out that for all his muscle and brawn, he needs to improve in the character department. All that power he craved? Wasted. But hey, at least Juggernaut's not just a wrecking ball anymore. Through this cosmic adventure, he kinda sorta gets a better grip on life, human dignity, and the whole mutant struggle. Maybe not a total 180, but hey, progress is progress in the Juggernaut playbook. Juggernaut's Detour, a marvelous ride with the X-Men. So, get this. After a major showdown with Cyttorak, the big boss deity backing Juggernaut, Kane's powers took a nosedive. Talk about a cosmic mess-up. Surprisingly enough, Kane patches things up with Xavier and decides to swap the villain's life for a spot on the X-Men roster. Here's the twist. Juggernaut, the powerhouse with a reputation for smashing things, starts making friends at the mansion. Yeah, you heard that right. There's this mutant kid, Squid Boy, who somehow manages to soften Kane's rough edges. Who saw that coming? Then, out of the blue, Juggernaut willingly turns himself in. But hold on, it gets even more bizarre. She-Hulk, the green powerhouse herself, ends up representing him in court. And guess what? One night, stay alert, Kane and She-Hulk share an incredible night together, and miraculously, he walks away from all his crimes, scot-free. Legal wizardry, right? So now, Juggernaut's a free man, or rather, a free Juggernaut, despite a laundry list of felonies hanging over his head. Life's full of surprises, especially when you're the unstoppable force turned X-Man. After a stint of playing the good guy, Juggernaut teams up with Black Tom Cassidy's new Brotherhood of Mutants. But here's the twist. He's not really on board with their villainy. He's plotting to spill the beans to the X-Men when the time is right. Unfortunately for him, that's not exactly how this goes. Squid Boy, the mutant kid who warmed Juggernaut's heart, stumbles upon the Brotherhood meetup. Thinking Juggernaut's gone rogue, the kid loses it. And guess what? Black Tom goes and does something unforgivable. He straight up kills Squid Boy. Juggernaut, fueled by pure rage, goes berserk on his once-upon-a-time friend. It's a showdown of epic proportions. But hold on, the plot thickens. The Brotherhood, Juggernaut included, gets sucked into a black hole. Why? Who knows? Maybe cosmic mischief. And why is Juggernaut tagging along? Well, he's got a soft spot for Nocturne, another double agent like him, and wants to make sure she's safe if they all miraculously survive. Plus, there's that tiny detail of making sure the Brotherhood doesn't pull a mansion attack on Kor. Juggernaut's wild black hole journey takes him on an unexpected detour to Mojo World, and he ends up as Mojo's property. Talk about a cosmic oops moment. Nocturne, being the hero she is, pulls off a slick move, takes control of Mojo's psychic, and wham, portal time. They pop back into the X-Men's danger room, thinking it's a sweet reunion. Spoiler alert, it's a trap, and Mojo crashes the party. Mojo, being the villain he is, turns the X-Men into X-Babies. But here's the twist. Baby or not, the X-Men bring the smackdown and overpower Mojo's goons. And guess who's still carrying the guilt train? Yep, Juggernaut's feeling the weight of Squid Boy's death, especially since the kid's last words were a hate-filled jab at him. Now, in the midst of Mojo-induced chaos, Juggernaut's contemplating staying a kid, like a do-over for a fresh start. But Storm, the wise voice of reason, talks him out of it. The X-Men get re-aged, and Juggernaut sticks around with the team. Fast forward to the aftermath of House of M, and boom, Juggernaut's now part of the new Excalibur crew in London. Just another day in the life of the incredible but turbulent Juggernaut. Juggernaut's Hulk Havoc. So, Juggernaut's back in the mix when the X-Men are playing bodyguards for Professor X against the raging Hulk. Now, even though Juggernaut's got his hands back on the Cyttorak gem, he still can't unleash the full Juggernaut fury in his first bout with the Hulk. It's a total bummer. He gets brutally defeated. Then, out of the blue, Cyttorak himself drops by for a chat. It turns out that Juggernaut has been the only one holding himself back. Cyttorak spills the beans that he wants Juggernaut to use those powers for his own selfish gig, not to play the hero. Finally, it clicked for Juggernaut, and he embraced his role as Cyttorak's main man, getting back his full power. Round 2 with the Hulk, and this time, Juggernaut's the one handing out the whooping. But hold on, the Hulk, being the crafty dude he is, flips the script. He uses Juggernaut's own crazy momentum against him, giving the Hulk a window to escape the brawl. Afterward, Juggernaut's not in the mood for a thanks from Professor X. He drops a cryptic warning not to send anyone after him, and then vanishes. But because life's never dull in the Marvel Universe, Juggernaut decides to pick a fight with Scar, the Hulk's kid. Spoiler alert, Juggernaut gets launched into orbit. Just another day in the Juggernaut roller coaster. Juggernaut's cosmic redemption with a Captain Universe twist. So get this, Spider-Man stumbles upon Juggernaut knocked out cold. The government shows up, does the usual, and hauls Juggernaut off to prison. Spider-Man, being the nosy hero he is, swings by to get the lowdown on what happened from the big guy himself. But hold on, cue the entrance of a fresh Captain Universe, a dude named William Nguyen. It turns out he's got a serious bone to pick with Juggernaut for wrecking his life during a nasty brawl with Spider-Man over Madame Web. Nguyen's so set on taking down Juggernaut that the Captain Universe power decides to bail on him and hop over to Juggernaut instead. Now, Juggernaut, rocking the Captain Universe superpowers, gets his marching orders from the Enigma Force to fix the tectonic plates under New York City. Apparently, he trashed them during that same wild rampage that messed up Nguyen's life. Juggernaut, in superhero mode, does the required fixing and throws in an apology to Nguyen for the lifetime wreckage. Just another day in the chaotic world of our begrudging superhero, with Spidey and a Captain Universe power swap. Juggernaut's stint with the Thunderbolts. So, after the whole Siege of Asgard drama, Juggernaut, aka Kane, decides to join Luke Cage's Thunderbolts. Just when things are settling down, boom, the 7 hammers from the sky hit Earth, and Juggernaut gets a makeover. He's now Kurth, the Breaker of Stone. In full Kurth mode, he goes on a wrecking spree, trashing the raft and letting a bunch of prisoners loose. Such chaos, right? Then, he beelines for a petrol station, picking up an ally along the way, possession style. As Kurth bulldozes his way to San Francisco, the cops try to put a damper on his rampage. Well, no surprise to anyone, it doesn't go well. Even the first wave of X-Men takes a swing at him, but Colossus only manages to crack Kurth's helmet. And here comes Magneto, thinking he can magnetically handle this situation. Nope, the hammer's too strong. Round 2, a new X-Men team, but Kurth's not having it. Hope Summers jumps into the mix, absorbs powers left and right, and takes on Marco. She pulls off a power move and manages to yank off his helmet. Emma Frost tries a mind game, but Kurth's still too strong. So in the ultimate showdown between the Avengers and the Worthy, Wolverine pulls a slick move and takes down Kurth, snagging that hammer away. With no hammer and Cyttorak's blessing out of the picture, Juggernaut, aka Kane, finds himself back behind bars at the good old raft. Cue the taunting guards, rubbing in the fact that he's lost his powers. But hold on, the warden steps in and shuts them down, and throws Kane an offer he can't refuse. A comeback on the Thunderbolt squad. Then the Nexus of all realities does its mystical thing, showing them an alternate reality where the Marco there bites the dust, turning Arcane back into the classic Juggernaut. Crazy, right? But here's the catch. It's a temporary power surge, and soon enough, Kane's going back to square one. Man-Thing, being the helpful dude he is, offers to teleport Kane and the Thunderbolts anywhere they want. Kane picks a spot with wide open spaces, perfect for him to roam while he still has a hint of his Juggernaut powers left. It's just another twist in the roller coaster ride of Kane's powers. The Juggernaut's comeback quest, unraveling the Gem saga. So, Juggernaut's power takes a hike, but Kane still has some serious strength left in the tank. He decides to chill on a farm in Utah, keeping things low-key. But you know how it goes in the Juggernaut's universe, nothing stays quiet for long. Cyttorak's gem makes a comeback on Earth, and Kane, catching wind of its call, decides he's had enough of this magical headache. He packs his bags and heads to the Temple of Cyttorak in Thailand, ready to end this gem saga once and for all. And guess what? The X-Men and a bunch of others are already there, fighting over the gem. Kane jumps into the mix, taking on the mercenaries like it's nobody's business. Then he turns his beef toward the X-Men, convinced they've killed his stepbrother. It gets really intense until Northstar spills the beans. It turns out it was Cyclops who took out Xavier. By now, Kane's ready to smash the gem to bits, thinking it's the right move. But hold up, Colossus rolls in, thinking Kane's just hungry for that gem power. They fight it out until the living monolith swoops in and snatches both the gem and the Juggernaut magic all for himself. Now, Abdol's flexing his new powers, and Marco sticking around with the X-Men, scratching their heads over how to take down the fresh Juggernaut on the block. Colossus gets a light bulb moment. Why not strike a deal with the big boss himself, Cyttorak? They summon the Crimson Demon and Colossus goes all in, challenging Cyttorak for enough power to take him down. But guess what? Cyttorak throws a curveball and hands the power to Marco instead. Juggernaut's back, baby! And this time, he's packing more punch than ever. And unfortunately for Abdol, he's in a world of hurt. But hold on, instead of going after Cyttorak next, Marco's got a more personal score to settle. Cyclops, the man who murdered his brother. The X-Men try to put a stop to the rampage, but Juggernaut isn't having it. Colossus steps up, trying to remind him about the gem destruction plan, but Kane's not in the mood for advice. Juggernaut throws Colossus around like a rag doll, but here's the twist. Colossus outsmarts him, making Kane destroy the ground beneath him. Down goes Juggernaut, buried alive by the mess he created. But guess what? Marco's not one to stay buried for long. He digs himself out, ready for the next round. That's another cliffhanger that Juggernaut clearly manages to shake off. Juggernaut's revival. So, Juggernaut's back in action, teaming up with his old pal Black Tom Cassidy to deal with some time-displaced X-Men. But oh boy, when he spots Cyclops, it's revenge time again. Cue Juggernaut going berserk, and Beast realizes this boat's not big enough for the both of them. To save the day, he pulls out some dark magic mystery, sending Juggernaut on a one-way trip to Siberia through a portal that's basically Hell's Highway. Fast forward to Manhattan, and Juggernaut's got a bone to pick with the young X-Men at the Xavier Institute. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well for him. But the drama's not over. Juggernaut gets an accidental invite to the Avengers Mansion, courtesy of Dr. Voodoo. The brilliant doctor decides it's a great idea to seal Juggernaut inside his own armor and give him the boot. After a cosmic detour, Juggernaut's back on Earth, and now he's on the hunt for Deadpool's bounty. Things take a wild turn when he gets squashed by a concrete truck and buried alive. Why do these things keep happening to the poor Juggernaut, right? We guess it's just another day in the chaotic life of everyone's favorite unstoppable force, revenge quests, cosmic mix-ups, and a concrete burial. Juggernaut's turbulent return. Alright, so Juggernaut's back on the scene soon enough, teaming up with the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants for some classic villainy. They decide to crash an Air Force base in East Transia, and of course, the X-Men swoop in to play referee. In the heat of the battle, Magneto's helmet gets knocked off, revealing a surprising twist. It's not the Master of Magnetism himself, but Joseph in disguise. Juggernaut's not thrilled about being deceived and takes out his frustration by decking Joseph. Things take a turn again when Juggernaut decides he's had enough of the villain's life and wants to rejoin the X-Men. He goes on a mission spree, helping Cyclops tie up loose ends as part of the X-Men's final mission. But here comes Emma Frost, pulling the X-Men back into chaos as they try to help her escape one. As they storm the headquarters, General Callahan pulls out the big guns, the Dark Child. While the X-Men decide to surrender, Juggernaut faces off with his old ally. Unfortunately for him, Juggernaut's Cyttorak gem ends up getting deathly squashed like a bug, leaving him powerless and banishing him to limbo. It's such a strange superhero situation to be stuck in, right? We bet Juggernaut didn't see that plot twist coming. Juggernaut's redemption. So picture this. Juggernaut, aka Kane Marko, gets stuck in limbo and is totally stripped of his powers. Imagine him dragging that massive armor around, desperately searching for an exit. But you know what? Our guy manages to escape that crazy place and ends up at the crossroads. That's where he makes a bold move and sacrifices his armor to find his way home. Fast forward to a hospital scene. Charles Xavier pops up in Kane's recovery room, checking in through his usual telepathic vibes. And here's the sad part. Kane can't join the cool mutant party on Krakoa. He's denied citizenship. Ouch. But hold on, the story doesn't end there. Once Kane's back on his feet, he's on a mission to reclaim his Juggernaut magic again. So he hits up a forgotten shrine in Budapest dedicated to none other than Cyttorak. There, he scores the crimson bands of Cyttorak and the leftover bits of the crimson gem. In a face-off with Cyttorak, Kane drops the bomb. He's done playing puppet for gods and crazes. No more servitude. Kane Marko is officially on his own path. Talk about a comeback. And right after that, Kane's life takes a bit of a turn. He lands a gig with damage control. You know, cleaning up the mess after superhero showdowns. One day, while doing his rubble-removing thing, he crosses paths with his homeless teen, D-Cell. It turns out she's got this incredible power to slow down stuff. They hit it off after he saves her, and Kane, being the experienced guy he is, thinks she's a mutant. Then comes this messy situation with the Hulk, and Kane finds himself slapped with a whopping $25 million lawsuit for causing some construction company to go belly up. The court hearing gets really spicy when Quicksand crashes the party. Kane, being the Juggernaut, handles business. And surprise, surprise, the lawsuit miraculously settles out of court. Gotta love the drama, huh? So, after that whole legal mess, Kane finds out that Quicksand got mind-controlled by Zola. Such a sneaky move, right? It turns out Zola is working for Absolution Solutions, a shady company experimenting on superhumans. Kane, being the hero we didn't know we needed, decides it's time to take them down. He teams up with D-Cell and they crash Absolution Solutions' party together. But here's the kicker. These guys have government backing. Legal roadblock, anyone? Juggernaut can't just smash them legally. To keep D-Cell safe from being a lab rat, he convinces her to tell everyone that she's a mutant and seek asylum in Krakoa, the mutant haven. Later on, Juggernaut flexes his muscles on Zola, making sure Quicksand gets patched up. Instead of revenge, he convinces Quicksand to join him in making sure superhuman prisoners get fair treatment. Who says the Juggernaut can't do a little social justice on the side? Juggernaut gets into Krakoa. So guess what? Juggernaut, the unstoppable force, finally gets a ticket to Krakoa, the mutant paradise. But as it turns out, this wasn't just a gift with no strings attached. There's always a catch. He ends up joining Nightcrawler's team, the Legionnaires, and he's paired up with Forget-Me-Not. Not the best deal for him, right? Juggernaut wants to believe he's flying solo, but much to his utter annoyance, he's got a partner in crime. On an errand, Forget-Me-Not decides to go off and question Paulie DeCosta. Things get heated, and that's when Juggernaut makes his grand entrance to haul Paulie off to the station. Teamwork at its finest, folks. After a good chunk of time putting in work for Krakoa, Marvel Girl decides that Juggernaut deserves a promotion. Nominated to be the newest X-Man, he's elected by the people at the Hellfire Gala. But you know, life in the superhero lane is never smooth sailing. During the gala, Orchis pulls a surprise attack and Juggernaut bites the dust, courtesy of Nimrod. Orchis decides to lock him up at the Henry Gyrich Re-Education Center, rigged with a bomb. A classic villain move. Katie Pryde swoops in and breaks Juggernaut free without setting off the bomb, and ta-da! He's back in the X-Men game. Oh, there's a twist. Dr. Stasis from Orchis wants a power boost, so he plans to siphon Juggernaut's abilities. Firestar, our undercover hero, decides to liberate Juggernaut, and boom, he's back in action with the X-Men. The end? Nope. The saga shall continue. After all, the show must go on. Live-action story of Juggernaut. Alright, so in X-Men The Last Stand, we get a glimpse of Juggernaut played by Vinnie Jones. The dude is a British mutant, packing serious strength and durability. Once this guy starts moving forward, good luck trying to put the brakes on him. He's like a human freight train. But, you know, every superhero has their Achilles heel. In Juggernaut's case, a lightning zap to the brain does the trick. Plus, if you've got a kid named Leech around, he can neutralize Juggernaut's powers. That's the mutant life for you. In the movie, Magneto recruits him into the Brotherhood gang, and Juggernaut Juggernaut's famous quote later on became an internet meme. Some fans thought it was a bit out of character, and the internet didn't let it slide. Nothing you wouldn't expect from a superhero, right? So in Deadpool 2, we've got the Juggernaut making a grand entrance as the third act villain, and he's voiced by none other than Ryan Reynolds. Picture a mostly CG character, and you've got the big guy himself. Now, this dude is no ordinary prisoner. He's locked up in the mutant prison called the Icebox, labeled as the monster in the basement, basically the most powerful and dangerous dude in the joint. With a bit of help from Fire Fist, he breaks out of that joint when they're being transported to an even more secure facility. And let us tell you, when he gets out, he goes full-on Hulk style and tears Deadpool in half. Ouch, yeah. After that nasty scene, he's on a mission, escorting Fire Fist to the Essex Academy. There, he faces off with Colossus in an all-out brawl, but he takes a pretty heavy loss in the end. The movie also gives us a little taste of Juggernaut's backstory, mentioning his stepbrother with telepathic powers. Classic superpower shenanigans. Juggernaut's at it again. Marvelous verdict. And after that, dear friends, wraps up the wild ride that is Juggernaut's life story. From his early days as Cain Marko, getting tangled up with mystic gems, facing off with Hulk in the X-Men, to his unexpected gigs with the Thunderbolts and even a stint as an X-Man. The Juggernaut has been dishing out chaos and punches like nobody's business. We've seen him lose his powers, regain them, team up with some interesting characters, and even get tangled in the mutant drama of Krakoa. Oh, and let's not forget his big screen moments in X-Men The Last Stand and Deadpool 2. So, what's next for our unstoppable force of a man? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, whether he's breaking walls or breaking hearts, Juggernaut's journey is one for the superhero history books. Don't forget to stay tuned for more comic lore deep dives. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.